You write down the time. I've already clicked spin. It's spinning while you're looking. You're writing.
And da-da-da-da-da-da.
I feel like I did not hide this. I feel like this is one we've already done.
Which one?
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Pointless Discourse with myself, Hoppocalypse, and Itisdpayne.
Oh man, I was really tempted to say the Chinese New Year hello, because yesterday was Chinese New Year. I have it written down here. I had to say this like 8 times to all the different family members in China. I only met 2 of them. And apparently what I've written down sounds correct.
Correct enough.
Play.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. What did you say?
I was saying correct enough that they didn't laugh at you.
One of them, there's one thing I mispronounced, which was when it was more than this, and it was pretty much saying I'm still learning, and the frequent listener was like, you mispronounced it, but it gets the point across, they'll figure it out. I'm like, okay, well, that would be the one that's worth messing up.
Yeah, they'd be like, yes, correct, still learning.
Yes. So, but yeah, that is, I don't know if your Instagram and social medias have been filled with Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year, depending on what culture or
not culture, not so much.
What region?
I've had this discussion with a few other people where people had asked me if I do red envelopes, and I was saying that I was raised in a very Christian or Catholic centric Filipino household, so we didn't really do the Lunar New Year. We do the very westernized calendar of holidays. Yeah.
Well, the nice thing is, like, if you did, you would still receive, because, like, from what I'm understanding is you receive until married.
Yeah, 1 year, I think it was my mom. 1 year my mom was doing the envelopes, but it was clear that she was doing it because somebody else did it for her. And she was, like, mixing up some of the rules. And I don't know them well enough, but I've seen other people exchange to know well enough.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I think you're mixing some traditions from, like, Filipino culture and traditions from the red envelope. Because I know one of the things that I remember growing up Filipino is if you were gifted a wallet, you were given money in a wallet. But you're not supposed to spend the money in the wallet if it was gifted in the wallet. So, like, a lot of the men in the family, like, you give a wallet and then you put, like, $5 in it. And you say, don't spend the $5. That's, like, good luck money, and that's, like, protection and blah, 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 like, that kind of stuff. So, one time, I'm pretty sure it was my mom, she gave me an envelope. She was like, don't spend that money. I was like, I don't think that's how that works.
I have red envelopes behind me somewhere. I think they're right up here. Yep. Mike. There we go.
And it's the year of the horse?
Yep.
Okay.
Year of the horse. The fire horse. Which apparently is rare, or someone at work was like, yeah, I heard it's supposed to come around every 60 years. And I'm like, isn't that like, don't the elements, aren't they on like a rotation? So don't they all come around? All I know is, due to the Chinese zodiac, is that I'm a snake.
I'm a rooster.
The frequent listener, she's a bunny. I don't know what element I am. So, there's that. But this has nothing to do with... I don't know.
A lot of people do celebrate the Lunar New Year with a lot of food.
Yeah, I did. We did, it was, we went over her aunt's house and had a hot pot. So, it was very tasty. I ate well this weekend, and Monday. So.
But yes.
But,
as we were saying, food. food is the topic of today's episode, because if you didn't catch it from the title, our big old wheel told us to watch a movie about cozy cooking this week.
Yes.
And if the wheel is something you're not familiar with because you're just dropping in, or you're skipping around in all of our series, because at this point, yeah, we have had like 3 years worth of different movie prompts, which is weird to think about sometimes. But we have a big old wheel where both of us contributed half of the prompts, and we spin it each week, and we both go watch our own movie and come back to yap about it. There will be no spoiler town, since we may or may not have seen each other's movies. It's more of a, hey, thumbs up, watch this, or maybe you don't have to. The main one being the video game episode.
The only way we will have a Spoiler Town episode is if we watch the same movie.
Even if, like, we've watched the movie before, like when I was talking about Get Out last episode, and you had already watched it, you were careful, because Get Out is still one of those movies that, like, the less you know about it, the better it is to go and watching it.
Or in the musical, when I watched
Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, I was thinking of Little, and everything else that popped in with the Little was like the wrong stuff. Yeah, so but yeah. We're here to talk about foods and hopefully not get hungry as we remember the food. Oh, I gotta find the spreadsheet. There it is.
Oh, yeah, all of our many rules we've laid out for ourselves.
Yes. So, we're not going to go through them all. If you guys want to know the rules, they are written below in the description of the video. And of all the ones that are up to now, pretty much what you need to know is we will roll a die chosen by whoever won last. So I won the last roll off, so I'm choosing the die, and whoever rolls the lowest goes first and is the winner, and the loser adds another roll. As we activate different rules, then we will go from there. And so I see that there is one die that has been left out. And so grab your D4.
What? Why would this one ever be left out of the running?
This is the one that if you step on, you might have to go to the hospital.
Or you might end up like my thumb.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, so we roll dice because we're big tabletop RPG nerds. Itisdpayne has a number of series online that you can watch. What are your active ones? You still have a Call of Cthulhu active?
There's Call of Cthulhu happening. That one just came out of hiatus. And a Pathfinder one. And let's see, when this is coming out in like 2 weeks. So let's see. We will be, well, actually, this of the time of recording this Saturday, we will have our Dragonbane one and a little bit of Blades in the Dark. That should all be hitting my YouTube, which I think is linked down there. But are you ready to roll?
I did roll.
Oh, so did I. I can't read it.
I technically rolled high, based relative to this dice.
Well, I rolled a number. What did you roll?
I rolled a 3.
I rolled a 1.
You get to go first again.
Aha!
I'll get advantage next week.
Oh no! Yeah, there we go. Put that back in there. All right.
So whenever you got your notes ready.
Yep. So I'm here. And our time. Wow, we're zooming today.
No fun intros. We're just in it.
We were talking about history. We were talking about traditions. All right. And okay. So, yes, so for this food movie, cozy cooking was my idea. And Hop, I don't know if when you wrote your prompts, if you were like, if you have maybe it's like, if I haven't watched it, or if I'm still interested, you have maybe an idea of a movie in your mind. for cozy cooking, this movie came to my mind, and funny enough, it was on the list that you sent.
The ranker list. Okay.
Yeah, the ranker list. And so I watched this movie called Chef.
Yeah, I did see that, and I was like, maybe. I thought about it. That one looks much more food-oriented than what I watched, but...
So, there's a couple reasons why I chose Chef. First, the train that's just coming by. When I was living in upstate New York, I had a housemate who was going to school to pretty much learn how to be a chef. And I remember him watching this movie, and it was in the beginning. I remember watching like maybe the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, and then once they started cooking, I was like, I can't watch this anymore. I'm gonna be hungry, and I left. So I was smart, had food, and started watching. But anyway, this whole movie is Jon Favreau. I don't know.
Favreau. Yeah,
Favreau,
something like that.
Yeah.
Tall guy.
He's pretty much this chef that when he came onto the scene 10 years ago, he was a hotshot. Everyone thought he was innovative. Wow, I can't talk today. He was just making a lot of ripples on the scene. He was very
Changing it up.
Just changing it up, very challenging, and just doing a lot of things that were new and fresh to cooking, and people thought he was cool. Good for that. We catch him 10 years later, where he is trying to kind of reignite that spark that he had for cooking, but the restaurant that he works with, the owner, pretty much to quote him, is like, hey, if you go watch the Stones in concert, do you want them to play some new stuff you never heard of, or do you want them to play your hits? And that's what he keeps telling him. He's like, no one's here for like this new whatever thing you're trying to come up with. This menu's worked for 10 years. Stick to it. So pretty much all this is going on while he's trying to do this fresh new menu, because there's a very big food critic that's coming in. And he's like, hey, I need to do this new menu. It's going to be cool. It's going to it's really going to we're going to get recognized and all this stuff, and it should help us out. Well, owner puts a kibosh on it, and he's not very happy. The review comes out, and it's just like, yep, it's stale, like the menu's stale, all this stuff, and he says some hurtful things and all that stuff, and goes on. Well, throughout this time, Jon Favreau's character, whose name is Carl Casper, he's kind of, I don't think deadbeat dad, because he still hangs out with his son, but he's very preoccupied. He's very not focused on his son, because he's just so focused on his career.
Right.
So like where when he has custody of his son, it's like, hey, we're going to go get ingredients. We're going to do this. And his son's like, hey, can you show me what's going on in the kitchen? He's like, no, you can't come in the kitchen. You can't do that. Mm-hmm. He's like, but I want to learn. No, you can't.
That's my space, not your space. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's just trying to, like, he keeps them separated. But during this point, like, everyone's like, oh man, hey, it's like, hey, heck with Twitter, okay? Like, a lot of people say that now, but for different reasons. And he's like, what's Twitter? Like, what is that? Like, for heads up, this movie came out in 2014. And so he doesn't know what Twitter is, very much like old, like, or just person who's not online. He's like, what the heck is Twitter? And nobody at work is telling him. And he's like, okay, so he asks his son. And then he finds out that the guy who wrote the review, like, all these people online are just, like, trashing him. And he's like, can you make me a Twitter? And it's like, yeah, sure, what do you want? And all that stuff. And he doesn't understand the concept of replying. And he thinks they're private messages. So he sends a message to the food critic saying, like, dude, heck with you. Like, you want to know any good food, blah, blah, blah. Send. Like, after spending up all night, like, looking at all the comments, and he's just like, it's not going to get to me. And so he does that, and then it goes viral. Mm-hmm. And because he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, I just sent him a message saying, like, yeah, whatever. It's like, no. It's like, yeah, it's a text. I sent him a text. It's a private text, right? And it's like, no, that was public. Yeah. Everyone saw that. And so everyone saw him call out this food critic. And he's like, fine, you know what? I'll make a fresh new menu and all that stuff. The chef, the owner comes back. It's like, what are you doing? You're pretty much what, funny enough, what we see in some political circles of people trying to control certain people's social media presence. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do this. And pretty much he ends up quitting the job, and everything goes, like, he's kind of told to quit if he isn't going to change and all that stuff. And from there, like, it is, I would say that maybe that's like, I don't even know how long the movie is now I'm thinking about it. I think it's like just shy of 2 hours. So that's like the first 30 minutes. And then the rest of it is just like, what's he going to do? To where his wife, or ex-wife, Sophie Vergara? I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think she's on that.
From Modern Family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Has constantly been telling us, like, you should get a food truck. So if you guys see any pictures or look at the movie poster, there's a food truck on there. And finally he's like, all right, let me give it a shot. So, and so my phone would turn on so I could see how much time I have left. I will say the food in this movie looks really good. There's lots of scenes of him cooking. I don't know if it's actually him cooking. I didn't look into that. But the food looks really good. I'm like, man, if I didn't just eat at the beginning of this movie, I would want to eat the food. But yeah, so food looks really delicious. The character growth of just Carl as like a person throughout this movie is also. Is it predictable? Yes. Is it still like a feel good watch? I would say yes. However, I would say that there's a lot of, it feels like there's a lot of focus in the beginning of the movie, and then the end of the movie feels a little rushed for everything that kind of falls into place.
Okay.
It's like one of those things where it's almost like a Disney storybook ending where it's like everything just falls into place kind of too well. And some of the conflict and stuff that was there at the beginning kind of just
poof.
Yeah, it kind of just fades away because like Carl's, one of the big things that he struggles with is like, one, he's not enjoying life. Like, he loves cooking, but he's being controlled and stuff in this setting because he's like, even though he's promised that he controls the kitchen, he can do whatever he wants in there. Over the past 10 years, especially within the past couple of years, I'm guessing, that agreement has been has been brought back, and so like he's dying on the inside while he's at work, and he's like, I'm doing something that I love, but I can't do it the way I
he's
want.
Stifled.
Yes. Yeah. And so, and it's like, it's interesting because like, so Dustin Hoffman is like the restaurant owner, and it's one of those things like from Dustin Hoffman's character's point of view, I can totally agree with what he's saying.
Yeah, play it safe.
Yeah, well, business-wise, this totally makes sense because it's like, hey, we have... And, like, he's told by multiple people, like, in his life that, like, he's... So, yeah, he was married to Sophie Vergara... I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Vergara. So that's his ex-wife. He's dating Scarlett Johansson now. Like, I don't know... Yeah, it's one of those things, like, I don't know if it's, like, an official dating thing. It's implied. And I don't know if they're just kind of like, hey, I'm lonely, you're lonely. If we, I don't know, do a little bit of adult hangout time, I'll cook you dinner.
Okay.
It kind of just seems like they have a connection, but it's like that's not the whole thing. But it's like definitely one of the things. Like looking at him, it's like, how good of a cook is it for this person to keep getting like just
Hollywood level?
Yeah,
like
the 10 out of 10 like
famously attractive women.
Yes, and I'm like, I don't know about that, but hey, it is what it is, and I don't care enough to really
overthink it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like Scarlett Johansson's character tells him like, hey, just, you obviously just leave here, just do whatever. And like everyone's life is telling him is like, dude, you're a good cook. You love to cook. You're just dying here. And he's like, and he's stuck in the mindset of, I'm a chef. I can't leave here without like becoming another chef in a kitchen. And he thinks like the food truck is below him. He says all this, and then it's as it goes forward, it's just like when he, through his own decisions and actions, loses everything, he's still struggling with like his identity as like a chef and all this stuff, and he's just like, no, I can't do this, I can't do that, like this is who I am. And that I feel like that storyline, like he finds success and his passion kind of is rekindled with the truck, but I don't think it's ever like really addressed again in the movie after like the midway point. He's just like, oh, okay. And it's just like, things work, so identity crisis that I had is gone. So there's that, and there's like different parts, like because there's just moments where like he legitimately bonds with his son and all that stuff, and the pretty much the ending of that, the way they get there, it also feels rushed. It's just like it's like we all knew what was going to happen, but it was just like, okay, I only have it feels like, okay, should I pull this out a little bit more, or should we end the movie? And they chose to end the movie.
Okay.
And so like it just feels like there's a little bit of a time jump near the end of the movie, and it's like that doesn't feel like it's a ton of time for the climax of the movie, but also there's a ton of different things that, like, because we don't see it, it's like, no, how did that happen, or all that stuff. So it's like, it's one of the things where I understand why the beginning of the movie, why there's so much focus on, because like the beginning of the movie really sets it up, and then
to like get him to leave the initial chef, right? To get his food truck.
Like the way it sets everything up, yeah, the beginning is really strong, but then it's like the ending, it's still enjoyable, but I'm like, there's still questions or things that I feel like it gets glossed over. So where it almost feels like there's a little bit and I don't think there's like enough to do like a second movie, but it at the same time I'm like, I don't know if there was like maybe like another 15 minutes or 20 minutes of just I don't know. There might be more footage in there. It just, like, the ending kind of just feels a little rushed. That being said, do I think it's a good movie? Yes. Do I think it's worth watching? Absolutely. I do think it's a fun movie. And the food is... It makes you hungry. It makes you really hungry. There is a lot of cooking scenes, and it's just like I was sitting there watching. I'm like, well, I've been making grilled cheese wrong my whole life. So,
do you see yourself trying to emulate any of the recipes from it, or were they not explained enough for you to really also do them?
There's some stuff I think if I watched, I could reverse, like, engineer. Like, I could follow what he was doing. Mm-hmm. For some of the things. But yeah, it was more like him like just showing him cooking and all that stuff, and like whenever he cooked it was like, oh man, the better camera came out almost like and everything. But it wasn't so much like how to cook. Mm-hmm. It was so much like how in Ratatouille, like it shows Remy and whatever the human he's controlling cooking, but it's not really like except for like a handful of scenes like, oh, we need this like the mince and stuff. But then like once it's like not a focus scene, it goes back to like, here's us cooking and it's tasting good and all that stuff. It's kind of like that, where it's showing the process of cooking, but it's not saying like, okay, here's the ingredients and all that stuff. But there are scenes when he's with his son and he's telling him like, okay, but it's not like the focus and all that, which it's like, I think that would have also been a lot more fun to see, because there's parts where he's like, okay, hey, you're coming grocery shopping with me, and he's like kind of telling him like, hey, this is what you want. This is what you want for this. This is the type of ingredients. You have this. Okay, hold that. Like, and he's going through the whole thing of, like, pretty much running a food truck restaurant thing of what we need to get. So, yeah, there's a couple things in there that I'm like, okay, I think if I watched and went back to it, I might be able to. But at the... Okay. The funny enough is, like, I just scrolled down on the Wikipedia, found out that he wrote this film script in 2 weeks.
Oh. Well, maybe that's why the ending feels a little...
It feels a little rushed, yeah, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't think there's a ton of cooking... Oh, that's that. Like, sorry, not a ton of cooking, but a ton of brains just dying. Like the script isn't like superly complex, but it's still good. What's funny is there's a movie on here that apparently he's for one of his inspirations, which I might be saving for a different topic that I know is somewhere on there.
Okay.
So, oh, okay, this is interesting. So yeah, apparently the script was semi-autobiographical, of where parts of his life were written into the main character, specifically coming from a broken home and having a busy career and not connecting with family and all that stuff.
Oh, but applied to being a chef instead of...
Yeah.
Okay.
But I am curious I'm trying to see if that was actually him cooking or not. Um, but let's see, trivia. Oh, there you go. Oh, okay. So apparently he did his own cooking by training with Roy Choi, who's a apparently known food truck chef. And yeah, so sent him. Yeah, so Choi sent Favreau to a week of intensive French culinary schooling, where he learned how to sharpen. Oh, my time's up. And sharpen his knife, and learn how to make sauces. And then he brought him to the kitchen and just said, "Yeah, he fit in." And so, yeah, apparently, yeah, he just trained him and taught him how to do it all. And so I'm guessing, yeah, there's a couple scenes in there, and I'm like, oh, that could be a cut, like a actual person's cut, and then spliced together, like as the camera goes up. But but no, apparently he was trained to be a professional chef, and yeah, so yeah, all the details and everything, like he was trying to be as legit as possible with that. So but yeah, that's let's see. I'm just quickly just looking through the trivia to see if there's anything else. But yeah. So no, that is what it is. Yeah. So in the end, I say definitely check out the film. If I think it's a good, like, just, hey, I'm here to relax, put on a movie and just have a good old time, and not just like pick through like try to. I'm not in the mood to be like, who did it or what's going on, or just be like, think deep. It's just a fun movie where a guy tries to reconnect with his family and his love for food.
Okay. It is neat that he did at least train with someone to try and make the cooking like feel as real as he could.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't know that, so that's pretty neat. So, well, now it is your turn.
Gasp. Let me know when you have all the notes written and I can jump in.
I am ready when you are.
All right, so the movie I ended up watching was Julie and Julia, which is a, I guess, biographical. I don't know. It's a weird, like, double biography almost between this, I guess, she's a writer, but she's, in the context of this movie, she's more of a blogger. So this blogger, Julie Powell, and this is all based off of, like, her true events. It's based off of her deciding to go through the Julia Child's cookbook and to write a blog cooking, I think it was 524 recipes over 365 days. And you also have clips of it cutting to Julia Child's and with film aspects covering her biography, of which I believe she has like a published biography, and kind of chronicling her discovering her love for cooking and writing the book, her cookbook that's become famous. For anyone who is a little bit younger, if you've been watching this, Julia Childs is, I don't know, the most charismatic like TV cooking host I remember watching growing up. She is very bubbly. She's very like, she was trying to find a way to make French cooking accessible to Americans in a way that didn't seem like, you know, closed and like a big secret or everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So basically we have this movie that's like in two parts. We're introduced to Julie Powell, this is all, I think it's set in 2002. If not 2002, then 2003. Because she's working a desk job where she has to basically deny insurance claims or listen to people complain about the plans of what to do post 9/11. So she's struggling with a lot of people calling and saying, like, why can't I, like, my son died. Why don't I get anything to help me out with the fact that he's dead? And her being like, I'm sorry, I just work here. You know, those kinds of phone calls. Yeah. And then you also get introduced to Julia Child. It starts off very early in her life where she's first going to France and doesn't realize, like, she doesn't know what to do. Because at the time, I believe they said that Julia Child and her husband Paul are both government workers. And Paul was stationed in Paris, France. So they have a scene where the two of them are sitting around eating. And he's like, you always liked making hats. Why don't you, like, take a hat making class? And she's like, He's like, all right, what is it that you love? She's like, eating. He's like, you are really good at eating food. She's like, yeah, and I really love eating food. So she ends up
relatable.
Yeah. So she gets the guts to sign up for cooking classes. But she runs into a bit of a roadblock where I believe she's in France in the I wish I remembered.
Who?
Julia Child's. I think it
1961 book?
Yeah, but that's when the book was published. I don't know. Yeah. I was trying to see what year she first was in France.
Oh, and the Wikipedia says 1950s.
1950s. That makes sense because there's a lot of scare about communism because there is a whole little like discussion about like McCarthyism, and they had briefly spent some time in China, and they get questioned on like, well, do you have allegiances to, you know, all of that fun stuff, given the wars that had just ended around that time.
Yeah.
So they are very like misogynistic and go, oh, you want to go to like housewife school where you're just the housewife. And she goes to cooking school and they're like, here's how to boil an egg. And she goes to the teacher and she goes, I know how to boil an egg. And the lady's like, all right, do you know how to bone a duck? And she's like, well, I want to find out. She's like, well, the other class is really expensive and it's all men, so I don't think you want to go to it. And then the next scene is her going, hello, as she walks into a room of these really professional men, and she kind of just throws herself at it, and it's very, like, endearing. And you can tell the male teacher is just, like, he's not harsh with her because he sees where she starts, because she basically starts where she doesn't know how to properly slice an onion. And he's like, oh, make sure to, like, tuck your thumbs in, hold it like this, hold the knife like this so it feels like an extension of your hand. And then the scene immediately after that is her husband coming home, and she has a mountain of onions. And he's like, oh, my eyes. Are you being overly competitive? She's like, you should have seen the way they looked at me. So she's a very endearing character. And Meryl Streep, as far as I can tell, just is good at acting. So I don't even have to question, like, if Meryl Streep can do the job.
Yes.
And then, so you get a little taste of, like, Julia Childs and how she came to find her love of cooking and what it took for her to, like, be able to publish and write her book and even get to the level that she was at before. And this is all before she even gets to be a TV personality. By the end of the movie, they start discussing, like, why don't you, like, cook for TV? And she's like, TV? Me? No, I could never. And then we have the other character, Julie Powell. She kind of became famous. She started a blog right in that sticky time frame of like the early 2000s, like I said, like 2002, 2003, where a lot of people didn't understand the internet very well. They just like heard each other say like, oh, a blog? I can start a blog too. Except I could see it coming from a mile away. And I'm sure as soon as I say this too, you'll understand. So you and I have been in the content creation space for a while. She dedicates to write a blog post every day for a full year. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's burnout. And then they did put in the movie of like how much it strains her relationship with her husband because they're in a 1-bedroom apartment in New York City. It's only like 900 square feet. I think just Queens, New York specifically, above a pizza shop. And she's, at one point, she's like, the kitchen's too small. I hate it here. And he's like, well, I can't wait till this year's over. She's like, what does that mean? This was your idea. And he's like, well, dumb of me. But, like, she's, like, she's doing the thing where she's like, I'm going to disappoint people if I don't post every day. So, like, they have a couple scenes where she burns food because she's not a professional cook. She's just a home cook following a cookbook. And she goes, well, I should just kill myself, essentially. And her husband's like, probably not. These are a bunch of strangers. I'm your husband. And she's like, yeah, but you don't count. And he's like, oh, like, okay. But essentially, it kind of follows her as she starts out being, like, they kind of establish early on in the movie, she's this, like, I never finish anything in my life, and kind of is like, woe is her, because she's like, he was like, oh yeah, you're a writer, and she's like, no, I'm not, and never got published, like, very whiny, and I was just like, oh. So she decides to have this blog, and then she has, like, her first comment on her blog is her mother going, why do you do this? Clearly nobody reads it. And then it immediately blows up to be like, she's getting like hundreds of comments. She ends up in the New York Times. All of this is like, these happen to her. But yeah, so she ends up blowing up. She has like different food reviewers and everything like that. But I did think is funny as like a piece of trivia is, so Julia Childs was alive like while she was writing this blog, and it was kind of like in the movie they kind of gloss over it. But towards the end of the movie, they get to a point they're like, hey, we're celebrating Julia Child's 90th birthday. We asked her about your blog. And then the main character answers the phone. And she's like, oh my God, what does she think? And it goes, she hangs up and her husband's like, what does she think? And she goes, she hates it. She hates my blog. And it's like very glossed over in the movie. And in the trivia, it looks like essentially, it makes sense to me. I didn't look into the blog itself. But I think people, like money-hungry people, went too fast and furious with it, because apparently they also gave her a book deal, but instead of her writing like something new, it's kind of her blog turned into a book. So a lot of the critical reviews I saw for the book are, it's not cohesive. It's very like whatever's on my mind right now. It reads too much like a blog. Like the translation didn't work out between the two. And even in the movie, some of her blog posts are a little like, it feels like when, you know, some people say like influencers become not relatable anymore. So she has moments like that where she's just like, oh my God, I was going to have the editor for Julia Child's cookbook at my house, but she didn't show up. And I'm like really depressed about it. And I'm like, okay. You know, like it's not relatable anymore. But yeah, she has this whole, kind of like what you said, like things button up really nicely. That kind of happens in this book too, from her storyline, in my opinion, because she goes from basically like, oh my God, maybe I am a narcissist, and she goes, guys, am I a narcissist? And everyone goes, oh, a little bit, yeah, a little bit. And she's like, okay, I'll fix myself, and then everything's like fine. Yeah. But the quote, I think when I was skimming for information, it seems like Julia Childs felt like her blog was a stunt, but not in the way that, like, it wasn't real, like, she wasn't really cooking the things, but in the way that, like, she wasn't enjoying cooking. Where Julia Child's whole, like, when you watch the movie and come to understand cooking for her is, like, it's
her essence.
Yeah, kind of like how you said for like the chef movie where the guy's like, I really like cooking and I want to do new things, whereas Julia Childs is like, I really love ingredients, I love putting them together, and I love getting to eat something. So I think one of the quotes seems to say that Julia Childs was like, in her blog she never talks about how anything tastes. She just talks about like, okay, I checked this off the list, I did this, I did that. And stuff like that, rather than like really sitting with it and saying like what the process was like and things like that. And I can see why she would call it like a stunt, because it does seem like it probably especially towards the end, it probably feels like she's writing it to keep up with the demand versus writing it out of a place of passion anymore. Especially when you think about it, 365 days to do 524 recipes. That's not like, so many recipes. And some of the like French cooking, like they also emphasize moments where like she has to like butcher a lobster, she has to debone a duck, like and some recipes take multiple days because they have to, like, she's making aspics, which are those, like, she's in a New York apartment. I would lose my mind, but like she's doing like boiling pig's feet in her New York City apartment to like make like homemade jello or gelatin. Yeah. And like if I lived with someone and they're like, I gotta boil a pig's foot for the next 8 hours, I'd be like, go get a commercial kitchen, go rent a kitchen somewhere else, not in this 1-bedroom place, please. Mm-hmm. And then she also goes, I'm just going to dump it down the sink because it's not fully congealed. And goes, oh my God, this sink is stuck. It's not draining. And goes to her husband, did you shove something down the sink? It's like, I think it's your pork gelatin that's clogging the sink. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think, like, as much as I'm kind of railing on this woman, it's not a bad movie. I think it's put together in a way that's, like, fun to watch, because I think what the director and writers were going for is that cooking can connect you over time, right? Mm-hmm. Like Julia Childs has become such a legacy that someone could also find her cookbook, also find a new lease on life thanks to that. Unfortunately, I didn't love the modern perspective of it, because there were scenes in it where the main characters in the more modern timeline were enjoying the food and were eating it and saying it's the best food ever. But then they would cut to her writing her blog, and her blog was painful almost. Like at one point, her husband's like, don't put that we had a fight in the blog. And she goes, I don't deserve my husband because he's too good for me. I was like, stop. You don't know them. They're strangers. But of course, like us many years later coming to better understand the internet is like, learn not to overshare. Some things need to stay private, you know? There needs to be a slight separation in the lives. But as a movie and the way that it's all put together, it is fun to watch. It is engaging. I would personally probably just watch a movie just based on Julia Child's life, like straight up. It does look like she has maybe it's a autobiography, My Life in France by Julia Child. Yeah, it's an autobiography. I'd probably maybe go back and read that myself, because at least the portrayal of her in the movie is just a very interesting woman in the way that you can tell she, like I said, she's very passionate about what she does. She's very excited about what she does, and she ran into a lot of issues along the way. And I think the director was smart to do that, because you have this weird juxtaposition where you have the modern timeline, and Julie, the modern character, is like, Julia Child was perfect. She never had a hard time in her life. And her husband goes, you don't know her, actually. You just like, the woman that you've written in your head is who you believe to be perfect, that you have to live up to. But you don't actually know her. I was like, wow, even in 2002, her husband's like, maybe you're being parasocial. But he didn't know the word yet, because we didn't know the word yet. Yeah, so I think it's fun. And I know you said with your movie, it made you hungry. I think the reason I didn't end up being very hungry watching this movie is because of the split timelines. Like, there are different times where like Meryl Streep's acting, she would eat something and I'd be like, sounds really good. Like, that sounds really good. And then, like, Amy Adams would be like, that's the best thing I've made so far. I'm like, why are you making it a competition? And, yeah, I don't know. And there's even a part that maybe, like, again, this is based on a real person, so I shouldn't laugh. But the fact that Julia Childs was like, I don't like the blog, but they did interview the lady who wrote the blog, and she's like, my dream is to meet Julia Childs and then to, like, go to her kitchen in the museum to see everything. So they do end the movie with her, like, I don't think it's that big of a spoiler, because, you know, but she does get to go to the museum and everything. Mm-hmm. And she goes and she's just like taking it all in, and I don't know. I think I probably, me personally, would not have gone to a museum of a person that was like, I hate the content you made. I'd be like, I don't think I need to go. It's like if when I was actively streaming and playing a lot of like Overwatch, and I went to PAX East and the Overwatch devs were like, we actually think you're ass at the game and you should quit. I'd be like, I'm not going to PAX East anymore, guys. I'm gonna stay home. Like, I don't know. But overall, it's a well constructed.
A great stream title. They think I'm terrible at the game. I'll show them.
But overall, I do think it's constructed well. I realized when I first started watching the movie, I recognized the name of the director, Nora Ephron.
Yes.
And I did double check what other movies she had done, and she's known for things like Sleepless in Seattle and I think another popular rom-com that's escaping me right now. Where do I
When
click?
Harry Met Sally.
Yeah. And I believe Julie and Julia was her last movie that she written and released.
I did see that. I was scrolling through the trivia and stuff, and you were correct.
Yeah, so I still think overall a fun watch. But I do think it has some of the syndrome that you mentioned in Chef, where you're just like, some things had to get buttoned up really quickly. And I think that's probably because in how long is this runtime? I think like a 2-hour something runtime. Yeah, 123 minutes exactly. They put 2 full stories into one movie. So I think the Julia Child one, they did a good job of kind of giving you what you needed without it feeling like it was missing pieces, just because of the way that it was like put together. But they wanted you to have like a strong connection to the Julie character, and I felt like it kind of jumped around a little bit more than I thought was believable. But I think one of the trivia facts is that this is the first movie partially based off of a blog, which makes sense. I don't know how many movies there are based off of blogs. The other thing that I think is funny is apparently Julia Child was 6'2".
Yeah, I did see that. In
so
the
trivia. Yeah, so to trick the filming to make Meryl Streep look taller, they just like lowered counters and did like tricks. And in hindsight, I didn't really think about it, but they had Jane Lynch in the movie, who's like in Glee, and she is a pretty, like, if I remember correctly, she's pretty tall. And they had like this whole bit where they're like, oh, father wanted us to stay in California and marry Republicans, but we're too tall for that. And they start like giggling. And I was like, wait, how tall are they supposed to be? So now seeing that Julia Childs is 6'2", I'm like, yeah, I don't see many men that would be like, that's my woman. A lot of men seem to be intimidated by height. I do, at least, okay, looking at some of this trivia, it says the director insisted that the actors and actresses ate for real and played up how tasty everything was. And I was like, all right, that explains why some of the reactions do feel genuine about like people eating stuff. And I think they said that Meryl Streep like gained 15 pounds.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. I was about to say, like, well, that trivia makes a lot more sense. I'm like, yeah, of course, it's like, I don't see that in any other movie. It's like, oh man, this man gained 82 pounds. But I was like, actually, that probably would be a trivia. But
yeah, there was one part that was like weird to me where they clearly used a puppet, and that really threw me off, and I had to stare at the screen for a little while. And it's
she had a puppet?
Well, because I mentioned like they were like, oh, they made a big deal about butchering a lobster. And at one point, she turns around and she looks in the bag, and it's clearly a puppet, and the lobster makes eye contact with the camera, and I was just like, everything else has been like really realistic. What is a little jump scare? But overall, like, not my favorite movie. I think if you enjoy the idea of what it would be like to cook through a cookbook, I think maybe this is something fun. Because you get a little glimpse of the person who wrote the cookbook, and then someone a generation or two later, like, going through the cookbook themselves. I think the reason I picked this movie is because of that, because I've recently been finding cookbooks from my library to try, and some I like enough that I go and buy myself so that I can kind of work through the recipes a little bit more. Like, there's one I recently tried, and they had a homemade meatball recipe that was really good, and they put it in a kind of like an Italian wedding soup recipe, but slightly different, and good soup. And even as leftovers, heated up really well, so that was really nice. So, and I think, and I also tried they had a pasta sauce made with carrots. And we were like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. And also tasty.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of a soup that I made. It's a Cantonese soup. I only know it as like ABC soup, and it's a very clear soup, but it has a lot of vegetables in it. And that was really good, and I think it was pretty simple to make. But I don't know. It's somewhere on my Instagram.
Yeah, I think I heard the timer go off.
It did, yeah. I was waiting for a good moment. But any final thoughts?
Not a 2 thumbs up movie. Maybe a 1.5. One and an injured thumb up. But it was entertaining enough to like keep me engaged. I guess it's tough to say how I rate this movie because I watched Get Out.
Yeah.
Before this, so it's not exactly like a fair comparator, but not a bad movie.
Yeah, that's gonna be the tough part with just the way this list is or the way we're doing this is like, hey, not every prompt is equal. So, or I think all the prompts are fun and good, but it doesn't mean that like, for example, the quality movie, like, is there's what would have been the movie that I know that came to mind to multiple people when I mentioned it at work was Ratatouille. And it's like, well, we already watched that, and we kind of have the unspoken rule.
Ratatouille would have been fun to watch, but
I just realized, did you ever come up with the new rule?
I did not for today.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I went back to the wheel spinning thing, and then I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, I made last week's rule. All right. Let me think of a rule really quickly while you... you can't even tell people what we're watching next week because I got to roll it. Okay. Let me... So let me read through this list real quick to see what we don't already have.
Let's see. Let me see. I'm trying to... This is becoming more of a team effort. I think we need to do something for the winner.
Okay. If you win twice in a row, you get to...
laugh maniacally. Oh, wait a second. Don't make it too hard. That's me. No, everyone,
which
your
one?
mics didn't cut.
Which one's the... Oh, so if you... Okay. So, let's say if you win
twice.
I changed it to 4 times in a row. We're going to do a
add
lot
your
of
results?
math. Yeah.
Okay. So, it is a mirror of the 4 times rule. So,
yeah, so I'm going to say you multiply your results by 2.
Oh, okay.
So if you roll a 2 as the winner again, then you get a 4. Okay. Anyway, I did it. I came up with a rule. So now let me do my other obligated task of my full screen wheel spinner.
Which should be showing up right now as I write down the time.
You write down the time. I've already clicked spin. It's spinning while you're looking. You're writing.
I've written. And da-da-da-da-da-da.
I feel like I did not hide this. I feel like this is one we've already done.
Which one? Say it in...
Check it. Yes. Okay, hold on. I gotta fix this.
Was
it's
it,
rigged. It was
do we
the
want to watch
90s.
another video game?
No, the 90s.
Oh, 90s. Oh, the first one. You know what? That does make sense. It was the very first one.
But it's hidden when I go and uncheck. This is... Hold on. Okay,
Did you put it in twice?
Did I put it in twice? No.
I'm just checking to see if there's not like another 90s
Yeah, I was checking
thing.
again. Okay. One more spin.
Yeah. It's time to spin. Ching.
Okay. We definitely haven't watched one of these. A space opera.
Oh, that's another one of mine.
Nice. it was just weird because you'll probably see it in the recording if you keep the full recording. I toggle it on and off to see if it's like
a space opera. Now, for all y'all, I don't know why Cats and Kittens was the title that came to my mind. This isn't a singing movie. What is let's just look up space opera definition. Okay. A space opera is a subgenre of science fiction categorized by extraterrestrial settings and having melodramatic plots, typical of a soap opera. Speculative fiction or science fiction that emphasize space travel, romantic adventures, and larger-than-life characters, often on a set of a vast, exotic setting. Used initially... Wait, this was used initially as a derogatory term?
Gasp. All right, so I have a list of examples. Star Wars. People list Alien as a space opera in this one website. Dune, I understand.
And
that's pretty melodramatic. Oh, scrolling through this website is kind of ass. All right, bad website. I don't want it anymore. Oh, here's Ranker. We trust Ranker sometimes.
Yeah. I think I got to the one movie that you're like, there's, on this first thing, there's just, you get down to the one, and I'm like, there's just people having sex on the movie poster.
So what I sent you does seem to be more TV shows, a lot of Star Trek.
That's Farscape, sorry. Oh, that's the first one. I was watching that.
Firefly. Yeah, Babylon 5.
I think TV shows is probably a little bit easier, but tip for people, at least for this thing. Dark Matter, I keep hearing. Did I watch that? I did. That was fun. I watched a lot of these.
Oh, this specifically is listed as TV shows and series. Oh, no. Oh, no.
It's all good. But anyway, I think that gets the point across.
So we can have fun with what we interpret this as.
We have to watch a whole TV series. I didn't realize there was a Dune TV series. But anyway, but yeah, so there's that. So come back next week to get your science fiction itch and find out what we think is cool.
Oh,
also, what's really fun, that first poster. Do I still have it? I have the Wrath of Khan.
Right behind you. That's funny.
Well, it's the VHS.
Wow, a classic.
Do I have a VHS player? No. And some people might ask, Dpayne, why do you have this? It was a birthday gift from middle school, elementary school. I don't know. It might have been like my 5th grade, something like that.
We're old.
Yeah, so they gave me this. And yeah,
that's fun. Yeah, unfortunately, I've already watched The Fifth Element.
So did I.
Yeah, I do like that movie a lot.
So find out what we're watching next week, and yeah, who knows? Maybe there'll be more cooking, all done from a replicator. Who knows? Not me. I just realized a movie that I could have watched, but I already watched it multiple times. Titan AE. That's a fun one.
Oh, I just saw that pop up on the other list I found.
Yeah, it's an okay movie, but I'm going to stop talking here. No spoilers for next week.
Gasp.
That's right. Later, nerds. Bye.